How's it going, Gunslop YouTube? I just wanted to make a quick video about the Springfield Prodigy, or at least my example of the Springfield Prodigy. This is going to be unscripted, not scientific at all, inspired by the focus trip video a couple of weeks back with Ben Steger and X-Ray Alpha, Hop. Two other dudes' names are escaping me, and just kind of wanted to talk about it for a second. Before we get any further, no magazine, chamber is empty, safe gun, empty magazines, no bullets on the table. So yeah, this video is going to be inspired by what the Grenade, I forget that guy's YouTube name, Grenade something, kind of brought up the Springfield Prodigy specifically as a product that a lot of YouTubers were shilling, and you know, he's like, it's a bad product, we all know it's a bad product, yada yada. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it for a second because I've had this one for less than a year. I'm at about 5,000 rounds with it, give or take a couple hundred maybe. I've done 6 or 7 USPSA matches with it. I've used it like crazy. I mean, you can see I've got a lot of holster rash on it, and I've had zero real issues. The first one of note though is this screw came out at one point, this frame screw. I didn't even notice. I don't know how long it was missing for. I had another friend that competes with Prodigy at my local USPSA matches, and after the match he kind of came up to me at the safety table and we wanted to compare firearms because he was like, hey, I want to see yours for a second, because he was missing that screw and he wasn't sure if it was supposed to be that way or not, if whatever. I was also missing that screw, so we both compared ours and we were like, yeah, I guess that's how it is. I went home, realized looking online that that's not the case, and I just bought, you know, a set of 4 frame screws from EGW for like $7 or something like that, $8. I think he went through Springfield to get that part replaced, and I just found it without even trying. I assumed it was just going to be easier to spend $7 and put it in there. I'm not really upset that it doesn't match. I really don't care. The only other issue I've had as well is charging the weapon on an empty chamber at USPSA matches. Of course, it only happens at the match, not while I'm training or at the range or anything like that. So I'd go to charge the weapon and the round would get stuck on the feed ramp. I would just have to rack it again and I'd get a chambered round and it'd be good to go. I've never had a failure to extract or stovepipe or anything like that when I'm actually shooting that. That has literally only happened 3 or 4 times loading an empty chamber when the range officer says, make ready. And that happens, which is always, you know, doesn't instill a lot of confidence. But once the match started, once my stage started, shot fine, no problems. I will say this though, the only rounds that have done that are Federal Syntech that have the really flat projectile on the end. And I also clean this gun less than any gun I've ever owned. In that 5,000 round count, I've probably cleaned it 5 times. Probably 3 of those were really early on, like I would clean it a lot, and then after a certain point I just kept adding oil and shooting it and then clean it once it's visibly very dirty. So all those times that happened, because I'd shoot the Syntex at the range, 0 with it, you know, before I got into the competition. I wasn't just going to load them and shoot them and just assume that it was going to be fine. But my feed ramp was just gross, super dirty. Which kind of brings me to my last gripe about it, which is all the internals are Cerakoted. I'm not going to disassemble it necessarily for this video. I might try to include some pictures. But you can kind of see even here, you know, it's worn all the way through the Cerakote in a lot of places where there's contact with the frame and the slide. Even when I got it new, working the action before I ever shot it, you know, it would just bleed sludgy Cerakote out of the back here. I've kind of gotten to the point where everything, all the Cerakote on the internals that are going to wear off have. You know, some people kind of had that issue where it would get caught up right there. I don't have that problem anymore. Again, I'm so deep into the break-in now that the action is smooth. It's a very flat shooting, very soft shooting firearm. When I got it, I was kind of debating between the Walther PDP steel frame, Shadow 2, and this. Obviously if budget wasn't an option, I probably would have gone staccato or something more crazy, but I was trying to maintain a certain budget, and at the time this was the most expensive of those three that I was looking at. I'm pretty fortunate that I live in a very Second Amendment friendly state, lots of gun stores, lots of ranges, lots of desert to go shoot in, and the local gun store less than a mile from my house had all three of those firearms available, and the action felt great on all of them. I really wanted to go to the 2011 World, but they were the most expensive of those three that I was looking at in my budget. The reason I ended up getting it was because Cheaper Than Dirt offered the 5-inch with the optics plate and the Hex Dragonfly. Obviously I've removed the Hex optic, for $12.50 down from $17.50, putting it at the same price as the other ones. I really wanted to do the 2011 route, and so I called Cabela's, everyone's favorite store. Honestly, a place I don't shop at all, but they price match cheaperthandirt.com as long as the product is available to buy that day, on their website, is in stock. So I called Cabela's, asked if they had these in stock. They did. I just went right there, price matched it, bought it that day, end of story. I wanted the Hex because I didn't want to also drop an additional however much on whatever optic that I ultimately want to get for it. I just wanted to get in to the 2011. I wanted to start shooting at USPSA matches. I wanted to shoot at stock once, because I had watched all those other YouTube videos of the initial launch that consumers were getting. They were having problems, so when I bought this, I thought I was going to have to replace everything myself. I like doing those. I like having projects. I wasn't scared of hand fitting the parts and getting the action working, but I haven't had any problems, so I haven't seen the need to spend all that extra money on it so far. I'm kind of waiting for some of these metal injection molded parts to just wear out and upgrade from there, just to keep the longevity of the firearm. Obviously I can replace the trigger. I do want to do those things eventually. I just haven't seen the need. I have not had any failures with it. I haven't had any problems. I haven't had anything that I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want to shoot this. I've had a great experience with mine. I've always been a striker fired Glock guy. Carry optics division, stuff like that, and I just kind of wanted to break out into this world. I will say that the Hex Dragonfly, the optic that it came with, was a piece of trash. That thing sucked. Not worth it. I mean, it was worth it to get the optics plate, and it was worth it at that price at $12.50 when it was coming down from $17.50. I don't regret it at all. But the glass, the quality, the functionality of the Hex Dragonfly is awful. I mean, I would compare it to like a $40 Amazon red dot, like a airsoft red dot or something like that. I happen to have one of these laying around, so to speak, and they share the same footprint, so I've put that on there and I've run it ever since. That'll probably be the first thing I want to replace, but those optic plates from Springfield are $120. A couple other companies make them for like $70-$80. I just haven't done it yet. I'm not pressed on it, it's fine, it's working, it's great. I do appreciate the optics plate though, coming from like the Glock MOS. You can see that it's dovetailed there and a little bit up front as well, so I'm not worried about it flying off or getting loose. Even if it got loose, it's a really tight fitting optics plate. I'm not too worried about it. I'm pretty happy with that. I did almost shoot the front sight out. It was getting loose, but I just hit it with a lighter, squished it down. It's been fine. I don't really care about that either because I'm using the red dot optic. But yeah, I mean, it's a budget build so far. I mean, I've got a Streamlight on there and a Vortex. I'm not trying to win any beauty competitions with it, but I've had a great experience with it. I'll try to include some of my matches or training that I've shot with it in the video, just for fun. See that actually performs. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, I will say this is the Mark II. Upon the initial launch, we're not going to see it great in this lighting, but there are a couple relief cuts back here in the slide that identify it as a Mark II. The Mark I's did not have that. I think that solved a lot of the issues of these not going into battery and people having to give it a little tap to put into battery. That has never once happened to me. Again, the only time that I've had any issues is those Federal Syntex, and it was chambering an empty round getting stuck on the feed ramp. And I think realistically that has more to do with the front of the projectile than it does anything with this weapon. But yeah, it's been a great experience. I think they're still I think now they're down in price from where they were from 1750. I'm not sure, I haven't looked because I don't care. But yeah, it's not a bad firearm. I mean, for its price point, especially what I got it for, I've been beyond happy with it. The magazines, these were Durmag. I still only have the Springfield Armory magazines. These aren't great. I mean, I haven't had any feeding issues with them. There's a little bit of slop and wobble to them. But I haven't wanted to shell out the $120 for, the nice magazines. These have been just fine. Again, I throw these on the ground. They get torn up. I step on them, I kick them. In USPSA matches, not intentionally, obviously, but when I drop them into the dirt for a reload at a match, so, I've definitely kicked them, definitely stepped on them, and they've been working great. So if it's something that you've been considering, I don't think that it should live up to a lot of the initial commercial release issues when it came out. If you get one now, I would check to see if it has those slide cuts in the back there, because I've had a great experience with mine. So again, yeah, I'm going to include some videos of me shooting it either at matches or training with it and let you decide for yourself, but I don't think it's that bad. This is still all stock. It's been running like a dream.